Yo, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to episode 49 of the Casual Weebs podcast. This week has been insane. First of all, your boy is not an anime only watcher. We got into the
Let's
manga.
go.
I started Kagurabachi. We have Best Chihiro right there in that corner. If you don't know him, it's about to get animated. And it is, let me just say, absolutely phenomenal. Now, we just made a video on it. I don't recommend it if you haven't read the manga, because it's going to heavily spoil probably season 1 and season 2. So, if you
Just a
haven't,
little bit.
yeah, if you haven't seen it, I wouldn't watch it. But if you are reading the manga and you're keeping up with it, I definitely recommend checking that out. We are probably going to dive more into manga related videos because let me just say that it's my eyes have been opened. The
Got him,
manga,
chat.
yeah, manga is built different. It's really good. So if you guys have any good mangas that you recommend, let me know in the comments down below. I am making an absolute insane list I'm gonna have to go through. So with that being said, the less chapters, the better, because the faster I can finish it and just start catching up, each week is gonna be the best. So that'd be awesome. But this week in anime has been phenomenal. I mean, we're gonna just be talking about Blue Box, Solo Leveling, and Sakamoto Days. Three animes that just continue to just devour, just crush this season. I mean, Solo Leveling, this episode didn't go the way we thought it was last week. We kind of had our ideas. We're like, oh yeah, this is how the episode's gonna go, as if we're fucking the writers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It didn't go that way, but it was still really good. Sakamoto Days, I think Sakamoto Days, like, we can start with it if you want. Like, one of
Heck
the
yeah.
nicest starts to a premiere, I think. Like, we've had a lot of animes that have premiered that have done very, very well, that are now top animes that we're looking forward to having new seasons of. But, like, I feel like this one was off to a phenomenal start. Like, the way that it's like we're being introduced to these characters feels very good. I feel like we're seeing the best sides of these characters. Like what makes them really enjoyable is being brought out beautifully. Like, this amusement park little like 2 episode skirmish has been amazing. It's been so enjoyable. It's been so incredible. The action's been amazing. I love that Patchwork villain now. I love him. I don't know. He's just like grown on me now. And we finally touched on that, like, I don't know, that poison, because we made fun of that last episode where it's like, oh, is this deadly poison? But like, bro's just eyes are just red. You know what I mean? Like, it did absolutely nothing. Bro, Lou grabbing a knife and just stabbing him. Like, I love how Lou plays this like part where like she doesn't seem like she's, I don't know, like this badass, this dangerous person, and she just seems like very like lighthearted, very just like funny, like happy, enjoyable to be around. It's very good with Sakamoto's daughter. But then you have those little scenes like that where, like, oh yeah, she's from a mafia family, yeah, like, she's not to be messed with. Just grabbing a knife and stabbing somebody.
Dude, she's such a good character too. And like, I was dying. She's like, oh, I'll have to drink my, my special family medicine. And they're like, she goes back for it the second time. I'm like, there's no way that's medicine. That's alcohol. And of course it is.
Yeah, she's just, yeah, my anxiety meds, and she starts downing. I'm like, when are the anxiety meds in like a bottle? Like, aren't they like pills or something? Like, I'm just so confused. And
That's
then,
what I thought.
yeah, I'm like, what is it? Is it like cough syrup? Like, when's it like a liquid like that? And then, bro, he just grabs. He's like, "What is this anxiety med you keep like downing?" And he smells it. He's like, "Jesus Christ, that's like hard alcohol." And she's drunk as fuck. They're banging on the door. She's like, "Hello." It's like,
Dude, the
Lou.
best is like, she literally, she pulls like the drunken fist Rock Lee, dude. Like, I was
Oh
loving
my
it. She's
god.
like, yeah, she's a badass character, but she comes off as like very playful and light
Mm-hmm.
sometimes.
Like you wouldn't like take her too seriously until you regret that. You know what I mean? And then it's like, oh,
Yeah.
like shit, like you should have, like, dude, her opening up that door had me fucking crying. Yeah, then we end up seeing Hard Boiled. What an amazing villain. Let's go into
My
Hard Boiled.
guy.
I absolutely love that dude. And the chick that he's with too is so funny. The way that she's like has like into every red flag imaginable. He like screams at her. She's like, "Oh my god!" Like, yay!
It's kind of cute. Yeah, he's like super mean to her, and then he's like, "Oh, that was kind of hot." It was like, "Yo, what?"
Well, he comes off like super mean, but he's like super considerate. He's like, "Hey, are your feet okay? You want to take a break or something?" And she's like, "Oh my god, he's so thoughtful. I love when he yells at me." And it's like, yo, you gotta relax.
Yeah, it was kind of cool to get like some of the throwback scenes with like Sakamoto and how he knows Hard Boiled. He like totally acts like he doesn't remember him, but he does after they start squaring up. But it was
Yeah.
cool they started to bring back some of the like the assassins and like the
Hmm.
JAA people. because it feels like you're really getting into like the story and some of the characters that are like more important than like the pizza man assassin we were talking about a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago.
It's like way better designed assassins, but then also way stronger. Like Hardboiled is not to be messed with. Bro is an absolute beast. And I love that little backstory. He's like, yeah, I used to go to the academy with Sakamoto, and I love how it's like a school. It's like a high school for just like assassins. You know what I mean? Sakamoto's getting all these chocolates. He's like, yeah, we're the best of bros. We are partners in crime. And then it's just like it shows the realization that Sakamoto didn't know who he was. That one guy from like the second episode comes in. He's like, "Yeah, Sakamoto, you have like this truck full of chocolates." He's like, "Hey man, if you want them, you can have them." And he's like, "Who's that guy?" He's like, "I have no idea." And
Yeah.
Hardboil's like, "In reality, we weren't friends at all." And I'm like, "Oh, he came to the realization. Like that's growth. You know what I mean? It's sad, but it's growth. Good for him."
Yeah, that was so funny. He's also like he's at like the shooting range. He's like
Yeah.
6'4", and he's like, yeah, Sakamoto, like age 15. I'm like, yeah, classic, just giving the teenagers like a grown man's body. But yeah, that was like really cool, and I feel like it gets more important, like some of the past, and like
Hmm.
because that's kind of what Sakamoto's up against, like stuff from the past, and it was
Yeah.
nice to kind of get introduced to some of those, and we met Nagamo, but it was a very like brief and like playful interaction. It wasn't
Yeah.
as serious as like what we're seeing now with Hard Boiled.
And I like how Hard Boiled too. Like, not only does it have like a very very cool design. I love the duo. I love how strong they both are, but they're also very smart. It's not like they're just like skilled but dumb as shit. Like, I like how they're using like low level assassins to kind of test the waters. You know what I mean? They're not just jumping right in. Like, all right, let's do this. They're like sitting there and they're actually like, okay, like let's test some of these certain things. Let's separate him from his family. Do stuff like that. And it's like, oh wow, like they're like actually professionals. Like, this is actually like really refreshing to watch. That we're having like legit villains. You know what I mean? And it's not even like you can't even call him a villain. Hard boiled is just an assassin. You know what I mean? I don't like hate him. I'm not against him. It's just like I think that's going to be such a cool aspect to the show. We're gonna have people after Sakamoto that like aren't necessarily bad guys. They're just not on his side.
Yeah, that is kind of like a point too. Like they're assassins. Like you try not to learn too much about your
Mm-hmm.
target because everybody is good and bad in some ways, but it doesn't necessarily make you a villain or like a good guy versus bad guy kind of thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's just like their line of work. So that is kind of like a theme, which yeah, it makes it kind of tough to decide if people are like truly enemies or they're just doing what they have to do or they're following orders or whatever. Because yeah, hard boiled really isn't a bad guy. We do kind of see that.
Yeah, and like we made a lot of like references to Naruto from like when we did the Kagurabachi did, but like it's the same thing with that one bridge arc in the beginning of Naruto where he's like, hey, so and so like really like a bad guy, like is it bad that I don't like hate him? And Kakashi's like, no, and Kakashi had that like inner monologue where he's like, wow, that's actually a really good villain for Naruto to face off against. Because I feel like we're gonna have a lot of that here where it's like just because they're not on your side doesn't mean they're a bad person. Doesn't mean that you need to harbor hatred for them or something like that. And I feel like that's going to create a lot of really cool interactions. Also, since we had this like assassin class, you know what I mean? This assassin academy. I think we're gonna have a bunch of his, old classmates that are gonna come after him. So I feel like we're gonna have a lot of these flashbacks like we had here with Hard Boiled to the younger Sakamoto, which is gonna be very cool and very funny.
Yeah, and it kind of like helps build the world and give you like a backstory to it, obviously, but helps introduce these characters organically, and it doesn't
Hmm.
feel like they're literally coming out of nowhere to just kill this famous hitman who
Yeah.
has been out of the game for 5 years. So I think they've done a really good job, like you said, starting up, but also giving us like not just cool characters, but then giving them time to shine and like we've seen Shin and Lu in action, like just kind of makes it feel a little more organic and when you're 2 seasons into the anime, you're not like leaving characters behind or like, how did they make it to this point kind of thing. So I think they've done a great job. I read that there was like 23 studios involved in the last episode, which yeah, that's insane. But like
How?
you would, you would never know. I guess they're just like subcontracting stuff out, but I thought it was really good. It's been a really solid product. Like, I don't know how everybody else feels, but you would never know. You know what I mean? I think they've
Damn.
done a really good job, even if, maybe the conditions aren't the
That
best.
sounds like a coordination like nightmare. Like to coordinate everything
Oh my
between
God.
23 fucking studios for one episode. That's insane, but hey, like it paid off. Like that was awesome. And like yeah, the fight scenes like it was really cool. Lou too being drunk. I thought her defeat was so funny. You said it was like oh like the drunken fist with like Rock Lee. First of all, no one's gonna beat Rock Lee. Like you give Rock Lee his
Facts.
medicine. I thought it was the same thing. They keep calling alcohol medicine. It was the same with Rock Lee. We got out of the hospital and it was what's her face's medicine and he's like oh let me take my medicine and he drinks it and gets fucked up and the guy's like you reek of booze bro like what medicine are you taking. It's like the same thing, but I love how like Lou, the way she was defeated, is that the girl wasn't like horrible. It's not like she like hurt Lou or like ended it like really bad. She grabs Lou by the head, shakes her, and then of course you gotta imagine being blasted. Lou's just like I'm gonna throw up.
She just goes down right away too. That was really really funny. And like little stuff like that I think makes the show like so much more entertaining because you're not constantly just fighting. You know what I mean? It was pretty funny.
Yeah, bro, that shit had me crying. Oh
Hell
my
yeah.
god, dude, it was so good. And yeah, the also the scenes too with Sakamoto's daughter and her interactions with the patchwork guy. I thought that was adorable as hell too. Like I love how the patchwork guy's like, yeah, you guys are like weird, but at the same time, he's like, they seem really cool. Like
Yeah.
the way like he's like he low key you can tell like he can see why Sakamoto and why everyone was like helping him, you know, protect his family. Because it's like, all right, like I get it now. The way that the daughter came up was like, hey, like you had a great performance. Like here's a band aid. Like get him next time. Like you did phenomenal. And he's just like, and he had that knife. That's the cool thing that they showed. You then see that he had a knife behind his back the entire time. You could have killed any of them at any point, and he's just like was just blown away by like the kind of like generosity. Because he was like, he's like, yo, like you gonna kill me? He's like, no, like we're just trying to protect Sakamoto on his day off so he can enjoy the time with his family. Like no one needs to die. Just like get lost. Of course, want to take your poisons and stuff, but like that's it. And then he's just like, these guys are weird. And he cuts himself free. And it's like, I'm just. I love he says that too. One more ride and I'm going home.
Yeah. He's like, well, since we're here, you know, we might as
Yeah,
well.
hit the roller coaster one more time.
Like humanizes some of the villains too, or like if
Hmm.
you could call them that, the assassins.
Well,
I think
yeah.
it makes them more relatable.
And we kind of saw that too when he was kind of talking about it. We're like, hey, like, what's the organization you're part of? He's like, I'm not a part of the organization. It's just a payday. He's like, I don't give a shit. He's like, I was hired by so and so. You know what I mean? And it like really kind of like humanizes it. And I thought that was sick.
Yeah, it's like just their line of work, but you know,
Hmm.
unfortunately, instead of fixing something or you know running a business, they're in the business of killing people.
Yeah, it's just they fix things different ways. You know what I mean? It's just like
Nicely put.
it's a different perspective. You know what I mean? Different perspective.
Absolutely.
But yo, like it really is kind of like slingshotting. I think season one. I think this like little episode, little mini arc is like really kind of sending it because again, the interactions we're having with these characters are just like amazing. We're getting into some amazing like bad guys per se. We're getting some amazing fight scenes. Like I cannot wait to see like where it goes from here, especially because I feel like season one's gonna like not be a typical season one because we've talked about how we're getting the season two like this year. It's more like a part two that has like a bridge of gap of time in between it. And whenever you have animes like that, it's kind of like with Dan to Dan, where it ramps up a lot into the end and it doesn't like come to a close. It comes to like a pause point. You know what I mean? So I feel like season one of Sakamoto Days is really gonna hit hard and be a lot more fast paced than we typically expect.
I think you're probably right, especially knowing that we have another season or core coming in July. You can kind of get away with leaving people, you know, at maybe an awkward point or not like a very hard season ending.
Yeah.
Um, you know, because in a couple months we'll be watching again. So I think you're right. I think it's off to a really good start, but definitely going to heat up too. Now we got skinny Sakamoto back in the game.
So I don't know if he's skinny. So when I first saw that, I was like, there's like, because like he even said he's like Sakamoto, you're out of shape and like you've been out of the game too long. He's like you're slower now. He's like you're not able to like beat me. I feel like I'm not sure like if Sakamoto like actually somehow magically lost weight or it's because Sakamoto is like he's like seeing the old Sakamoto. You know what I mean? He's seeing like oh Sakamoto's back to his old self. So he's like seeing kind of like a delusion of it. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh my god,
I
it's the old
never thought of
Sakamoto again.
that.
Yeah, I think it's like something like that maybe, and like we're gonna see like at the start of the next episode, he's kind of like he shows like the old Sakamoto, like the guy like out of shape Sakamoto. You know what I mean? But I was like, is it like that or is like because you said that he apparently gradually gets back into like somewhat shape.
Yeah, I've seen like a bunch of panels of him like normal skinny. So like I
Hmm.
don't know if he at some point just stays skinny and like gets back in shape as the
Yeah.
attacks like ramp up or are consistent or whatever. But that's a really good point. I never thought of that. That's could be like his outward perception from these people that used to fight with him or alongside him or whatever.
That's gonna be like a cool little thing to see throughout the series or the season. Is like, is he going to get back in shape, or is all those times just showing the old Sakamoto again? You know what I mean? But he's still the out of shape guy.
Yeah, now it'll be interesting to see because I'm not 100% sure, but I think gradually he does like get back into shape.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, very excited. I mean, we're still like pretty early into it,
Hmm.
but it'll be interesting to see like if it really keeps picking up through these next couple weeks.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. But speaking of something that's been really picking up these past couple of weeks, solo leveling has been absolute. I thought they were gonna fight the boss today. You know what I mean? This episode. But they didn't. You know, but that was something I was like surprised about.
You know, I was like 45 seconds into the episode. I'm like, oh, okay, we were wrong. We were definitely like very wrong last week, but it ended up being, I think maybe more realistic. And it was definitely a good episode, but yeah, not as crazy as maybe we had guessed last week.
Bro, what did you text me? That shit had me on the floor.
Yo,
Um,
she smells him, and he's like, yo, what? And she's like, oh, he doesn't smell bad, like,
yeah.
which I wasn't 100% sure where she was coming from, and then she's like, oh, he actually smells good. Like when he walks away, my first thought was that corny ass Dior commercial with Johnny Depp, the Sauvage by Dior. It's just immediately what I thought of. I'm like, oh, my man's got the Riz.
Bro, that shit had me crying. I thought that shit was so funny, but it's like that was the highlight because that's what everyone talked about. I kept seeing like articles online of people talking about that, about the whole smell thing. So that's why I just thought it was so fucking funny because you had a way
That's
funnier stance
awesome.
on it too. But yeah, that's gonna be a key thing. But she thinks that hunters smell bad. Like for some reason, she has this thing with her nose where like hunters have like a weird smell to them, and apparently, I'm assuming, with educated guesses here, that the stronger they are, the worse they smell. But she's like, is it because he's so low powered? I don't smell anything? But she's like, no, he actually like, smells kind of good. And he's kind of like, is it because I'm a player? Like, what is it? But it's like something's not registering. And even the other guy, the ice dude, even thought he was weird too, that there was something different about him. So there is definitely something up with Jinwoo where like he might not be human anymore and he might just be something else. He's not like necessarily a hunter, but like something more is going on. And I think this is just another piece of the numerous amounts of evidence surrounding that theory.
That's a really good point. I didn't think of that either, but there has been kind of like hints or notions that he is not 100% human anymore
Yeah.
since like undergoing this leveling up, if you will, for lack of a better
Becoming the
phrase.
player. Yeah.
Yeah, and he even says, what does that even mean? Like, what is being a player even about? Like, so it'll be interesting to kind of see like what she meant by that, but I didn't think of it like that, and I think you might be onto something with the fact that he's not like 100% human anymore.
Yeah. And like one thing that like I have to give massive props to solo leveling for this episode. So of course he doesn't end up fighting the boss like we thought we were gonna he was gonna fight with her and it was gonna be great and that starts their kind of like interactions or relationship or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean, and awesome. Yeah, clearly that did not happen. He goes back and he becomes like the carrying person in a dungeon, right? So he goes in this dungeon and of course it's another broken dungeon. Now I would love for them to get more into that because apparently it does happen quite a bit. You know what I mean? Where dungeons aren't as they seem, which is why there's a lot of like hazard pay. There's a lot of risk in being a hunter, even though you're putting people that are higher ranked in lower dungeons for like safety. But you know, of course, this is how high ranked people hunters die, right? So of course he's in another goddamn dungeon that just does not go right, and so many things from here. So when they first encounter those like orcs, those like badass things, and he's like, all right, everyone's gonna die. I need to step in here. I was like, dude, like we're not messing with like E ranks, C ranks, even D ranks. Like these are A rank fighters, hunters. You know what I mean? Like if they don't think something's up, I'm going to hate this anime. Like, there's no way that fighters of that experience are just like, oh wow, they got slower. That was convenient. You know what I mean? I'm like, they don't need to know it's him, but just have them acknowledge that something was weird. And that's where we had the scene immediately as I'm thinking that one mage was like, how does he think we're stupid? Does he think we're a joke? A room full of mages and he doesn't think anyone's going to notice him use stealth? And I'm like, okay, there we go. That shows the expertise of what an A rank is. You have to take them seriously. I was like, props to solo leveling. Props to them. I was about to say, like, that was going to be so frustrating if they just ignored that.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you. It was nice to have that, even though like she's like, "Oh, I'll let it slide and I won't say anything," which kind of like continues to like help the fact that Jinwoo's like
Hmm.
keeping his ranking undercover, which that's obviously going to change either next episode or the 2 episodes from now once he goes to retest, which I'm assuming is going to be next episode. But
But like, why isn't he saying anything too though? Like you already went and people already know you're an S rank. Like that's already confirmed. It's just like more the formality that people already know too. Like why isn't he telling them like, hey, why is he like when they're like, hey, like what rank are you? He's like E. Like no, you're not. Tell them you're an S rank. They probably have heard of the new S rank that's out. You know what I mean? It's probably one of the things where like the word has spread, but no one knows the who it is. You know what I mean? No one's putting the face to the name or to the story. So like, why is he keeping it a secret from the blonde girl right now or from that team if everyone's gonna find out? You know, especially because the dungeon's busted. It's messed up. You know, they get the leader's like, all right, hey, you know, I want to meet you guys, right? And he kind of seals them in, and like Jinwoo, like they tell him like, hey, like we're gonna die. We're gonna get an opening. We're gonna make it sure you can get out and like get the word out and get some backup here, right? And he's not like, hey, like they're prepared to die for this. Let me just tell them I'm an S rank. Like, why the fuck are you keeping that a secret? They're literally about to fall on the sword for you, and you're just gonna like not like help them out and be like, hey, by the way, we're not out of this yet, but like we have a better chance than you think. You know what I mean? Let's devise a good plan with this. Like that kind of was like, bro, like what are you doing?
I had the same thought because like in that instance, especially when he meets with the captain, it would have been like, "Hey, like I'm a lot stronger than I let on, or I'm a lot
Yeah.
stronger than I look. Like, instead of looking for an opening for me to get away, let's like come up with a plan." I'm definitely with
Mm-hmm.
you. It was a little weird, but I also thought it was strange that like the orcs wanted to meet with them rather than like just kill them. Because the second after that first skirmish, they easily could have.
I think
Or
it's
wait, taking Jinwoo out of the equation, like they were done. You know what I mean? They'd already been. The one guy mentions how he used a ton of his mana already. Like
mm-hmm.
they got busted up on the curse, like trying to get out of the gate. So like they were already in pretty bad shape. I'm really interested to see kind of like what the dialogue is or like why they want to meet with them. Because if somebody was just constantly popping into your like dungeon and killing your comrades and fucking your home up, like it's
fucking your
worth a
home up.
conversation. That's worth a conversation. But like part of me thinks he'll try and like enslave them or keep them there or something that will eventually lead to like a big conflict.
I think they just know about Jinwoo because like the people that are lost, the people that don't know shit are the humans, are the hunters. You know what I mean? Like it's been multiple
Yeah,
times where the higher leveled monsters or mobs were able to sniff him out and be like, Something's up with you. You're weird. What's going on?" Because this does seem like a game that he's a part of, and he's the only one, including the mobs, that are a part of it. Because something that happened in what episode 2, when he faced off with the elves, he asked him like what they were or something like that, like something question like a question like about the system, and the main elf like glitched out as he was going to answer, and he's like, that was weird, and then like the dialogue reset, like it actually is a game, but they're not allowed to give information about it. You know what I mean? So I think that since he's the only one a part of it, they can sense that and they kind of know that, which is probably why he wanted to talk with them. And let's also give massive props because first of all, that dungeon room, that boss area, fucking incredible.
really
Looks
sick.
so good. And those like orcs, I don't know what they are, I forget what they are. The higher level ones, the design is phenomenal. They look all so bad ass. I love it. I'm absolutely in love with the designs.
Dude, you're so right. I was like not really
Yeah.
expecting this grand hall, like very like what do you want to call it? Like civilized, developed, like very nice. Like their
Yeah.
their designs were really sick as characters too. It was like it was nice, you know what I mean? They're not just treating them like fodder characters that Jinwoo will beat and will move past it. Like they did give them, some like really good attention to detail, and I thought it made for like a sicker build up for this next episode.
Yeah, and the king too, like the leader, he looks so fucking cool. But it also shows, like going to what you're saying, they're like intelligent because they even said like those like dogs, those low level like mobs had collars on it, so they were using them as hunting dogs. So it's really cool how they were sophisticated enough to see something and then turn it into an advantage. You know what I mean? If you see a low level mob, instead of just slaughtering it and be like, this is our area, it's like, oh, we're gonna use them. You know, we're gonna make them efficient. So it's kind of cool to show that aspect as well. Is that like not only they're super strong, but they're also probably pretty smart.
Yeah, and it kind of like was a good way for them to be like, all right, this is the difference between like D and C rank monsters
Mm-hmm.
and like an A rank monster, like an A rank
Yeah.
dungeon. Like you can kind of see that there's like levels to it. So I thought that was a really nice touch, and it was a little subtle. Like I didn't maybe pick up on it at first, but yeah, very nicely done.
Yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. I think that, again, the way that they keep pushing this season is insane. Because we haven't even found our main villain yet of the season. You know what I mean? Like in the
Very true.
opening, we have those scenes of a certain fight that's probably gonna be coming up. I don't know about it. I haven't read the manga for this yet. Yet being the key word, but
Yeah.
it's really cool how this is going to get resolved and something else is going to be even cooler. Like the whole ice elves, such an amazing fight and like situation. This a step above that. So what's going to be after this is what's really gotten me intrigued as well. Because there's so many of them, I don't even think Jinwoo's army is going to work here. Like it's going to help, but he's going to need the help of the A and B ranks.
That's what I thought. Like his army wasn't quite big enough to like go toe to toe with that. So
Yeah.
like it's a much tougher situation than he was in against the elves, which I think lends itself to exactly what you said. Like whatever we're gonna come in contact with or fight at the end of the season, it's definitely gonna be sick. But they've done a really good job of like building up the villains and not just
Mhm.
like throwing, you know, whatever at you right at the beginning of the season. I think that was really nicely done.
And at this point too, we can already see it. Those are the new additions to his army. Like, let's just be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah, you can kind of see it coming.
So those really cool designed like orcs or whatever, those are his new generals. That's gonna be cool.
Badass and like they look really strong. You know what I mean? It's one thing to
Mhm.
be like have a cool design, but I feel like they look as tough as hopefully they are.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. I cannot wait to see his army kind of grow and kind of become like this. It's pretty diverse now. You have all these fucking cool things that you have a part of it. I think that that's gonna keep getting better and better and just be like really cool. It also like kind of brings pieces of the anime with you. You know what I mean? All these fights that he's going and dealing with, and I guess like competing. I don't know, like fighting in. He's now gonna take pieces of that, and it's gonna carry with him throughout the rest of the series. You're gonna see, like, I mean, Igris. I mean, that was one of the best scenes in season one. That's something that we're constantly getting reminded of each time he comes out. The scene with the elves and the bears. Now we're seeing that with every fight when he amasses his army. It's just cool how it keeps, all these pieces that like he obtains along the way is we're constantly going to have with us, and I think that's gonna be awesome.
That's always one of my favorite things in like longer running animes. Like I know I've brought this up before on the pod, like with
Mm-hmm.
One Piece, you bring back characters or old villains as now allies and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I think makes for a more immersive experience as a watcher or a fan. So yeah, that is really cool. And the longer you watch it, it's like, oh yeah, remember in season one or in season two when this fight or that. That is a really nice touch.
And it adds like an importance to the army as well. You know what I mean? Like Igris is so much of a
Yes.
better soldier and like general because we know where he came from. Same thing with the ice elves. Same thing with the bears. Same thing with Igris's soldiers. It's just one of those things where like it just keeps being like it has significance. You know what I mean? It's not just a dead army that he keeps bringing back. It actually means something. So I cannot wait to see the more of the fights that this season has for us, but also what happens after this because after this probably in 2 episodes is when we're going to get the finale of the whole S rank deal. His whole outside of the dungeon type deal. And we're going to probably see him deal more with the blonde girl again and with the guilds.
Yeah, and it'll be really interesting to see how the story either changes or picks up based on, the fact that he can no longer pose as an E rank. He's literally one of the toughest people in the game right now. So it'll be cool to see how
Mm-hmm.
the story changes with that.
And we have a lot of theories with that too, which is why I'm really excited that that's going to get like wrapped up and kind of see like what exactly happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they've done a really good job of building up to that without
Mm-hmm.
giving too much away. Like there's still a lot of possibility and like flexibility on what could happen from here.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that was it for this episode. That episode was absolutely phenomenal. Blue Lock, though. No, fucking Blue Box. Though.
Finally, I'm not the only one.
bro,
I
I
kept doing that over the winter.
bro, I keep mixing up Blue Lock and Blue Box. Like they're just so like similar. Like how can you not like confuse them?
Right. Yeah, the sports, you know what I mean? The name is close enough.
Exactly. It's like I don't know, man. But Taiki, man, has like every girl coming out to support him. Like what the hell? Everyone's just like Taiki, like you have a thing coming up. He's like, yeah, but you don't have to like go. I'm gonna be there. Like you know what I mean, dude. I cannot wait for the cat fight that's gonna happen outside of Taiki's match. Like shit's gonna go down. Especially, I was wrong. I gave Hina benefit of the doubt. I'm like, yeah, no, Hina's gonna, not mean it in like a bad way when she told Chinatsu that like she confessed. But I'm like, she absolutely didn't. She just like confessed. She told Chinatsu and then dipped. She's like, okay,
Literally
that's
just
it.
walks away.
Yeah, and like just
Like,
sprints. So
and
what
then
the
never
fuck?
uses the copier. She walks in and just like, yeah, I confessed to the dude that you live with. All right, enjoy the copier, and like leaves. I was like, okay.
Well, Chinatsu got back at her. Chinatsu was like, actually, we don't live together now. She's like, oh, fuck. Like, how's that worse? You know what I mean? You'd think that would be like, oh, thank God. But she knows, like, oh, shit, Taiki might actually make a move now. Like, this isn't that good. This is becoming a mess. And then, really put the moves on this episode with, preparing for the play. I thought that they were
Yeah,
actually going to kiss. I was like, oh, shit. And I'm like, yo, Taiki, you got to put an end to this, bro, because like you're just leading her on massively at this point. Like it's
and I think
not.
it's really starting to bother him too. Like when
Yeah.
she has like that playful personality. Like obviously she's emotionally invested in him, but she's
Hmm.
like oh haha, like I would have said you're weird if you said you wanted to kiss anyway. Like whatever, I'll see you
Total
later. She
lie.
walks away and yeah, total lie, 100%. But you could see he's like starting to get either like caught up in his feelings or it's like bothering him. You're definitely right. I think it's gonna creep into other parts of his life if he doesn't kind of get a grip or put his foot down and say, "This is how I feel,"
Well, he's like
and be more intentional.
he also like realizes how serious she is, but she's more forthcoming with it now. Where she's like, hey, like but like I thought that scene was so funny too. Like he's running around, she's just like following behind him, and they're like just talking, and she's like, well, like of course I want to go. I want to see the person I care about, like the person I love, doing what they love. And then he kind of like stops and they kind of bump into. Well, no, he kind of like turns around and sees her blushing, and she gets embarrassed. Like, no, why the fuck you stopping? Like,
She's like, "Hey,
don't just
don't turn
stop.
around."
Don't look at me. But like, she's more forthcoming with it. So like, he now feels way worse. But he realizes like, yo, like she's serious. Like he means a lot to her. Like she's not joking around with this stuff. This isn't like one of her like playful like things that she keeps making it that way to like because she gets embarrassed. But it's like, yo, he's starting to realize he's really gonna hurt her, and he even admits he's like, I'm nothing but a coward. He's like, she has this like courage to go out and say this stuff and to do this stuff, and I don't have the courage to like say no. You know what I mean?
A really good point, and like we had kind of touched on that with Chinatsu watching the movie, and like her mom comes in and
Mm-hmm.
basically like eviscerates her, and even though she doesn't know that's what she's thinking about.
Dude,
So like
that
they're
forever be one of the funniest moments of the season.
so good, dude. But yeah, I feel like that's kind of like a focal point for Chinatsu and for Taiki because like
Mm.
we both have to confront our feelings because now we have like a mutual friend who's kind of caught up and invested in this, and like I think just being more intentional and like you may not be ready for the relationship, but like yeah, there is feelings there. Then I think at least there wouldn't be so much like awkwardness or like mystery behind it. Like if they were a little more straight up, which again, I think I'm a little harsh sometimes on like 15 or 16-year-olds in high school, but yeah, for story's sake, for progression's sake.
Like here's the thing that I think they did a little bit better of in this episode was in the previous episodes they make it a no-brainer. Like he only shows any sort of like reaction towards Shinatsu. Like he has no interest in Hina, only sees her as a friend, kind of like whatever. So it's like, yeah, dude, why aren't you saying no? You know what I mean? But in this episode, you can kind of see him really kind of like contemplate it too. Where like now it's becoming kind of serious for him. Where he's like, oh shit, like do I like her? Because he sees the way she looks at him, and she sees how hardworking she is. He sees like how like they really get along and enjoy being around each other. You know what I mean? So you can kind of see him start to like they're not doing it as much, but he's starting to kind of like be like, oh, like do I like her? You know, and it kind of makes it a bit easier to be like, okay, that's why he's having a hard time decide. But like, yeah, whenever you don't see that and it's just him like, oh yeah, Chinasu, she's obviously the one. Where it's like, yeah, bro, why aren't you saying no? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely gonna ramp up here in the next couple episodes. I think we'll have to have some kind of like moment or interaction where they like have to face it, especially
Mm-hmm.
Taiki and Shinatsu, because he'll like blush and she's like, "Oh yeah, my practice buddy," like, and he's just like, "Oh my god," like eventually they're gonna have to like kind of address this situation, especially with Hina, because they've never really talked about it, even though they both very much know what the situation is. So I think we'll probably get that in the next 2 or 3 episodes.
That has me crying whenever like Chinatsu says something like that, and he immediately is like, "I'm reading into it. I'm reading into it. It is not like that at all. Like we are just friends."
Yeah.
Like
She literally
immediately,
just calls him his practice buddy and he tweaks.
it's not what it sounds like. But like at the same time though, like it is. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly, yeah.
yeah, he's just not picking up on it. So like I think that's so funny. I think okay. The rematch is gonna be very interesting. What I love about this anime is that we've talked about it. They keep us on our toes. Like we thought, like one of them would win nationals. None of them did. You know what I mean? So like, I have no idea if Taiki wins this rematch or not. I have no idea how this goes. It's gonna be an absolute mess, which is gonna be awesome. You know what I mean? It's like edge of our seats. Is it gonna be close? Is it gonna be a blowout? Who's gonna win? But then also, is there gonna be a little catfight between Chinatsu and Hina? Because Hina brought it up to Chinatsu. Chinatsu is starting to make a move now too on Taiki, where like she's starting to get closer with him, joke around with him more. They're like really getting a lot closer despite being farther away now. So it's like, yo, is there something that's gonna go down between them? You know, at this game or at this little scrimmage? It's gonna be good.
Yeah, so I'm very excited. And like they're doing the same thing they did before nationals. Like they were like building up
Mm-hmm.
Haru, kind of giving us some backstory, and then like he comes up short. Taiki, same thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's been feeling on fire. Finally got the game off Haru, smoked in the first round. Like
Yep.
they're talking about, oh, you're hitting it so much harder. Like you've really grown. In the last year you've been playing badminton. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like hard to know if like maybe he does beat Yusa this time and like has a really good moment. And you can kind of see that growth come full circle, or if they're still not quite there. But I think they've done a really good job of keeping us on our toes, and it makes those next episodes and next moments exciting because you're not like, yeah, Taiki's just gonna go in there and beat this guy.
Yeah, and like if he does beat him, it's going to address or overcome his biggest weakness, which is not being able to believe he can win. Because that's what happened with him versus Haru right before this rematch or the scrimmage happened or is about to happen. He went up against Haru again, and he got smoked. Like lost both games, wasn't even close. I think it was what 21-10. You know what I mean? And he's just like, what the fuck? Like, how's it not able to like get better? How's it not getting closer? And he's like, the problem is you don't believe you can win. You're not playing to win. You know what I mean? You're playing to survive. You don't think you can beat me, so you're not playing like you are, which is why you can smoke somebody else because you can believe you can beat them. So you have confidence you're gonna swing. You're moving a lot quicker. You're a lot smoother, a lot looser. But against me, all you've known is losing, and that's what you're used to. So going against this kid that knocked him out of the first round obviously has a lot of stress and like weight on him. You know what I mean? It's like, is he going to be able to break that? Is he going to be able to be like, yo, you smoked me last time, but I got you this time? Or is it going to be the same thing where he's just used to losing and he's not going to be able to turn it around?
Everything feels like it's kind of building up for Taiki personally to take that next step.
Yeah.
Like maybe even if he loses to Yusa, it'll be really close. You know what I mean? It'll be 3 games. He'll be like right down to the wire, which is still a much better performance than he's done against Haru or Yusa in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the relationships, you know what I mean? Maybe if it's addressing Hina or telling Chinatsu, this, that, or the other, I think it's time for him to take those next couple steps, both in athletics and in his like romantic life. Just kind of like whatever you want to call it, coming of age or like, facing the situation that he's in. Because both of those things are stressing him out, like you said. So I think hopefully, like as a watcher, I want him to, kind of like take those next steps and win and, face his feelings and not be so embarrassed or awkward to talk about it.
Yeah, because like they like we're gonna like stay on like the sports whole thing. Like you know what I mean. Like Chinatsu still has a whole nother year left. Like she's not gonna be able to go to nationals, but she's gonna have a year to compete as like what vice captain now. You know what I mean. Taiki still has the ability to go to nationals next year, so we still want to see a lot of growth in the sports aspect because there's still so much ahead. You know what I mean. It's not like it's over. It's not like nationals is over. They lost. All right, that's it. Let's focus back on romance. Like no, there's still a massive aspect of the sports side of it. So it's like yeah, we're gonna need to see Taiki get better and see if he can actually go and win nationals. But at the same time, too, is it going to be closer? Because you think that, but I thought he'd be closer against Haru right before this again too. But he wasn't. He got blown out. He's getting worse, and that's where Haru brought up. He's like, you're too used to losing. So it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, you're gonna have to like overcome it. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to like overcome that complacency. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right on it. And I'm really excited to see him take that next step because it feels like that's what we're working towards, especially as the main character. I think,
Mm-hmm.
it's finally that time. We've had enough episodes and time in the story without it. I think it's time for him to like make that leap. And I'm very excited to see if like this is the moment where he does.
Yeah, and like you were saying, I think you're absolutely right. I think he's going to take the same steps at the same time. So if he takes that step in badminton, it's also going to reflect, and he's going to take the same step in his actual, like, outside of badminton's love life and stuff like that, and being able to make the appropriate things. Or I could see it, I don't know, because, like, I could also see it, and it's not going to happen because it wouldn't be paced this way, but I could see him making the move first where he realizes that he can't be a coward anymore. Or maybe that's what's going to happen here. It's going to get to a point where
Interesting.
he's like, I got to stop running away from it. He's going to then do something to end up beating that kid because he's going to have the confidence and be like, yo, I can't just be a coward anymore. And then right after the match, he's going to be like, I have to do this everywhere in my life. He's like, I'm tired of running away. I'm tired of being afraid. I gotta own up and stand up to the shit. You know what I mean? And that's what's gonna then push him to, pick.
100%, dude. I think you're right on it. It'll be like a really important moment in the story for Taiki, and I hope it's soon. You know what I mean? Because it feels like it is, but we were
Yeah.
wrong in the past, so it's tough to feel like confident in that. But I hope it is. We're definitely rooting for him.
Yeah, I wonder again, like, what's gonna happen because, like, I'm trying to like look, like, we have like quite a few episodes left, right? Like, how many are we getting? 24. I hope this doesn't make noise. Okay, so,
Yeah, I believe 24 or 25. So what would that be? Another like 7 episodes, maybe?
yeah, we're on about to be on episode 18. 18's coming up.
Okay, so yeah, we still have at least like 6 episodes, I would think.
Well, that's if yeah, we are gonna be 24. You said, right? Or something like that.
24 or 25, I think.
Yeah, so this is gonna be really interesting. I cannot wait. There's gonna be a lot that goes on. It's gonna be. I can't wait. I can't wait. It's gonna be really awesome.
Yeah, dude, very excited. It's been honestly one of the best animes I've watched in a while. Like, gives you a lot of different stuff, not just like a typical rom-com or like a romance, but it's a big moment. I'm excited. I think it'll definitely like deliver, and it'll be nice to see Taiki finally catch that W because nobody really did over this like nationals arc.
Bro,
I felt like nobody got the W.
we were talking about that. Everyone's just been taking nothing but losses. Like
Yeah.
everybody. Like Haru, Taiki, Chinatsu, Hina. It's like, bro, someone needs to win. You know what I mean? I don't know how. Kyo, I'm down for him to get a dub.
Sure, yeah, anyone at this point.
Bro, that had me dying when Haru comes in and he's like, what was it, curry or something? He's like, what? He's like, you eating curry? He's like, yeah, so and so got it for me. He's like, oh my god, of course he did. He's like, all right, Kyo, I was gonna scream with Taiki, but I'm gonna scream with you. He's like, no, I want to practice. Like, enjoy your curry. And he's just like, no way. He's like, yo, Kyo, getting the practice reps. Let's go.
Hell yeah, Kyo sleeper arc coming up.
But yeah, it's been absolutely amazing. Is there anything else you want to add to this week of just perfection, anime wise?
It's been really good. I feel like there's a lot in each anime that's like building up for like another big moment or like to push us forward, kind of like you were saying, slingshot us into the rest of the season or like
Yeah.
the apex of what the season is. And especially for Blue Box, I feel like we're right on that next episode or like 2 episodes out from it. So very excited.
I'm so stoked. I mean, all three of them are just hitting so hard, are just so good. I cannot wait for the new episodes. Phenomenal seasons, and then there's so much that we're not talking about too. That is just so good. Apothecary Diaries this season has been nothing but incredible. Honey, lemon soda, that's been very good. I've been loving that. Next week when we talk about Zenshu, that has been phenomenal. Like, absolutely phenomenal. We were gonna talk about it this week, but like next week's about to be a huge episode, so like, we're gonna save it for then, and that's gonna be incredible. But so many like Link Click. I mean, boys, that last episode, goddamn episode, bro, I was losing it. Like, again, everything is just dominating this season. This season has just been spectacular. So I cannot wait to see how these seasons kind of come to an end. Even though we're only like at the halfway mark, the end is not here yet, but it's gonna be here quickly. And then again, the rest of the year of anime, because we after the last podcast episode last week, we took a look at the upcoming seasons, little sneak peeks, and like there's some good goddamn seasons coming up. Like, winter might not be the hardest hitting. It's going to be tough to compete with, but there's going to be some other ones that are going to leave us very satisfied as well.
Definitely. I'm excited to see how it ends, but yeah, July is jam-packed, but it'll be here before we know it. Like you said, we still got plenty of time left in the season, so looking forward to all the twists and turns that we get, and hopefully some W's for our characters. We're rooting for them.
Absolutely. But yo, that is it, guys. Hope you guys had a fantastic week, and hopefully you guys are enjoying all this anime we got ahead of us. But that is it. We'll see you guys next week. See you at the next one, and peace.